My name is Gerri DiCarlo, known as Gerri to everyone. I was born in Long Island, grew up in New Jersey. I'm 81 years old. I currently live in Cocoa Beach, Florida. After the kids were old enough, I went to work for the telephone company, which was where I retired from. I worked in the office, and then it was an era where they were taking women into the men's field. And one day my boss asked me if I'd like to go out in the field and learn how to become an installer. So I said yes. And I went out to what we call plant school. It was where they trained new people. And I learned how to install a phone, pole climbing, whatever it took. I was out there for 2 years. And then I had an installation gang. I was the foreman, 8 men, very good men, respectful, which was something you weren't sure about when you went into the field as a woman. Pole climbing, at that time, I was the only one out there. But it was very, very shortly thereafter that they started to recruit women. And then it became pretty norm. But they all went through the same training that I went through. And it's called plant school, and it is a school. And you learn all the ways to what happens out in the field. At that time, it's hard to relate to the poles down here because they're all cement, pretty much. Up there, they're wooden poles, and you climbed them. Some of them had steps, but the steps, well, they're spikes, you know. They were placed for men, and women's legs are not as long as men's legs, so it was easier for me on the hooks than it was on the steps. My boss knew my situation. He knew that I was raising 4 kids, and anything that was more money I would jump at. I was a good worker, so they took care of me. They were trying to promote women into men's jobs. And I was in my 40s at the time. And I jumped at it because it was a promotion and it was money. I didn't know how I would do out there, whether I would like it or not, but I did, and it was fine. Everything is a learning situation. Everything is, you start out in school and you go through the same training that the young kids go through. And I was already a supervisor, not a supervisor because I didn't have anyone under me, but I was already in management when I went out to the field. So the only difference out there was my title, and now I was going to have men under me. Just live your life and be happy. It's just, you can't live somebody else's life, and somebody else can't live yours. People try to. They try to tell you this is wrong or that's wrong or do this. Or when I moved here Everybody said to me, how can you move to Florida by yourself with all your kids in New Jersey? It was just something that, for some reason, I had to do. Every once in a while I get a little comment, but nothing. I'm very low-key. I'm very laid back. I'm not a talker. I listen. You learn more by listening. People think that I'm very strong, and when I have to be, I am. But I can be not weak. I was never weak. Because I always had to be strong. The world has changed, but they say change is good. There seems to be so much hate. I don't remember ever experiencing so much recklessness. People shooting people over a little argument, things that you used to punch somebody for, now they shoot them. It's wrong. There's something very wrong with our society today that that's not a good thing. And I don't think it's getting better. All this racial stuff now that's going on, it's just, I went to school with black children. That was a long time ago. They used the same bathrooms. We had friends. My kids had a special friend that was black that was in our house for their birthday parties and for whatever occasion there was. It's just, now it seems like it's a big fight between everybody. It's like all of a sudden, everybody's a racist. That word is so overused that it drives me crazy. It really does. But what can I say? It's society the way it is today. It's just a little bit out of control. And I don't see it getting better before it gets worse, unfortunately. I do. I think life was much simpler. It was hard, but simpler in a sense of the way you lived. Everything now seems to be a fight. It wasn't that way when I was young. It just wasn't. Everybody, you could talk to your neighbors, you could talk to somebody on the street, you could have a disagreement. It didn't matter. It was a disagreement. That's normal, you know. But today, you're afraid to have a disagreement. I mean, I don't live in fear. Don't get me wrong. Whatever will be. But it is different. It is different. And I do think it was better back then. A lot better. I think there were more, not restrictions, but people had a sense of caring for other people. They had respect. You had respect for your elders. There's no respect today. That's what's missing. But that's taught in the home. And if it's not taught, then they don't have it. People were glad to be alive. They were happy to have their families. They were happy with each other. It seemed happier. Even when you were having hard times, you were always happy.